G'day and welcome to the Hunters Campfire podcast. My name's Mark and along with good mate Ian, we're here to help with all things hunting. If you're looking to start but don't know where to begin, you want to make the most of your next trip away or even plan that hunt of a lifetime, we've got something for you. You'll find our podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon and plenty of others. And if you want more, head over to our YouTube channel, the Hunters Campfire, where we have plenty of how-to and hunting videos along with the full video production of every podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and good hunting.
And we're live. We're back. Hey Mark.
Hey bloke, how are you?
Very good. Just mid-conversation, starting this one off again. And you can see there's no Jono because he broke something at work and now he's got to stay behind and fix it.
Something. He's got to save the world from, a virus or something like that.
Some sort of virus. Do we believe him? I think he's still sick.
No,
he was hellishly crook on our hunt last weekend. Man, he suffered. But anyway, serves him right since he won.
So we probably won't talk about that hunt this evening.
No, we'll wait for Jono.
That would be
find it unfair that I call him out on his shenanigans without the right to rebut.
That's right. That you shoot Canny when he's not here. So let's talk about a couple other things. But first thing I want to do is give a shout out to a guy who's just started following us on Facebook by the name of WA Feral Animal Control. I'm looking at Facebook right now to get that right. Why? I don't know his name. Don't know. It could be a she. Don't know who they are. However, what I do like about them is they're posting lots of thermal hunting shots. He's obviously in pest control. But what I'm finding really interesting about it is that you're getting to see animals that are pretty much in a state of rest or a state of at least low anxiety, because it's at night time, it would appear, and they don't know he's there. And you're getting to see what happens when you get bullet strike on those animals, which is in a hunting situation is very difficult to do, because generally, they're at a higher state of agitation, even if you've snuck on them. But seeing bullet strike and you're seeing those, there was a particular one, he was shooting deer, and it very much looked like a heart-lung shot. And that deer did what I think deer have been doing since I've been shooting deer in the heart-lung, and as they lurch forward with that front shot. He's also shooting camels, which was very different again. But watching his stuff and watching those bullet strikes is actually really informative. So I appreciate his stuff. Yeah, WA Feral Animal Control. So if you see him on Facebook, follow him. He does, or her, them, they follow us on Facebook on the Hunters Campfire page. So they seem to be doing good work, and I'm liking it.
Nice. How close is he getting? You said that you're seeing bullet impact.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, it's thermal and it's on a tiny little screen. Sometimes actually he probably has measurements. Well, supposedly that one says 200 meters, so there it is, and
Well, I'd be interested to see what gear he's using.
He talks about it. He's a Thermtech. I suppose that might be Aries 360L thermal scope, which you might as well, be alphabet soup for all I know. But that's what he is. He's shooting, in this particular one I'm looking at, shooting fallow deer in Western Australia. So he looks like he does a lot of work with Thermtech. Thermtech Outdoors, Thermtech Australia. Oh, there you go. And there's their tagline, so Thermtech. So he's using that stuff. Looks pretty good. But again, more importantly, I just really like the fact that you're seeing those bullet strikes on animals, and it's giving you a good understanding of what bullets do and the dynamics of the strike. So good work.
Good stuff. I got a couple myself. Shout outs to this.
We'll go for it.
Well, firstly, I'm gonna say hi to Matt again from Oz Hunting and Beyond podcast. We had him on a couple of weeks ago, and we invited him on our hunt after the podcast because we're nice guys.
That's right.
We invited him to come along, but being being in the job that he is, he couldn't get a lot of leave, and he had to pass up the opportunity to come and shoot his first deer. Although it wasn't on public land, so it would have gone against what he was trying to do. But anyway, I think he followed some of the action on the weekend and has realised he's missed out. So sucked in, Matt. It's a shame you couldn't get time off work. Never mind, buddy. We'll see you next time. But the reason I thought of Matt was because I was chatting to Cody Guerin on one of the I can't remember which platform it was. There's so many, and inevitably we were talking to Matt on his pod. Hang on, we were talking to Matt when he was on our podcast a couple of weeks ago about this fallow deer that magically flew some distance to another spot to get shot by another hunter.
The bionic.
The jury's still out, Matt. We've got a lot of ideas. Anyway, we might talk a bit about that later. But apparently, I heard that while you were talking to Cody Guerin on your podcast, and we didn't really mention that it was Cody that you were talking to when we were going through it. And I think he felt sad. So I'm sorry, Cody, but it's great that you have now elevated us to the lofty heights of being getting some attention from Cody's big game shit posting Insta page. If you're not following that and you want to laugh on your while you're sitting on the toilet in the morning looking at your phone, Cody's big game shit posting is what it's called on Instagram. With a look, it's pretty funny.
Yep,
you might get his attention. Be careful.
Maybe we should get Cody on the podcast.
Maybe we should. I think we've talked
Cody,
about it
if you're listening,
before.
this is an invite to come to the podcast. I saw you actually did some post on Instagram where you were talking about how big deal you are because you've been on all the other podcasts. I actually was going to say something about like, who are you? Because you haven't been on this one. So let's rectify that problem and let's get Cody on here because I do like his shit posting. It's big game memes. I'm literally looking at it now on Instagram on the phone, and it's Cody's big game shit posting. And it's my kind
worth 5 minutes of your attention every morning.
That's it. So let's get Cody on here. It's a funny one tonight because Chris Waters from Australian Hunting Club. Did I get that right? Who are you waving to? You waving
the
to me?
Australian Hunters Club.
Australia's Hunters Club. Australian.
Chris Waters.
Yeah, Chris Waters, who we first met at the Toowoomba Outdoor Show. That's where we first met him, when we had a chat with him. In fact, I think he was the first person we spoke to at the show. Anyway, he's been saying some very nice things about us, both on Instagram and Facebook. So thank you very much, Chris. We appreciate it. It's good. It's nice to be nice.
It's nice to be nice.
Notwithstanding shit posting.
Yeah. I've got another one. I'm just trying to find them. I stacked them all up over here. Special mention to Brody Brown. Brody Brown, while we were out on our trip last week, jumped on the back of one of the 1,000 posts that we threw up over the weekend to let us know that he'd gone down to a state forest. I think it was Nunnal, but now I'm looking at the post, it doesn't say. And he's got back with his first set of antlers from a state forest. So shout out, mate. And we were talking about it earlier. If you hear this and you get in contact with us, there is a prize of immeasurable value coming your direction. Looks like it's from Zolio.
That's right. It's a Zolio
a good first aid kit. Yeah,
it is a good first aid kit. It is it's still in the plastic. So it's Brody. Brody, if you're listening,
Brody Brown,
and you get in contact with us, reach out. That's yours.
Good stuff.
We'll figure it out. How to get it to you, something like that. We'll figure that out. But it's yours. So good work, man. Love to see people. Love to see success, and especially love to see state forest success. So good work. I think. The first aid kit is yours. Who else? Anyone else?
Now a serious one. This is one you all want to listen to because this is an excellent, excellent service. So there is a new business that's out there called Athena Spatial. It does a bunch of things, including terrain analysis, GIS solutions, and most importantly for me recently is custom mapping. So most of you know that we're pretty hell-bent on hunting state forest land. And when you hunt state forest land, we put a Venza on our phones and we download the DPI maps, and they work and they're great and we all love them. And they've almost overtaken having a handheld GPS, like a Garmin device, almost. And we'll talk a bit more about that later on as well. But Rob reached out as one of our listeners, and he said, "Hey, thanks for all your service to the hunting community. If I can ever help you with mapping, I'd be happy to do so." So of course I said, "Yes, Rob, that'd be great. We're going on a hunt. This is when we went and did the slam hunt." And I said, "Well, this is the address of where we're going. It'd be pretty cool to have customized maps of that property, because it's the first time we'd been to that property. We didn't know the boundaries. Boundaries are usually pretty easy to spot by fences with no gates in them, but I've been to quite a few properties recently with gates through to the neighbours, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of those fences." So he gave us a perfect map of this property just by giving him the address. He was able to look up the details, and he gave us a map that we uploaded into a Venza, and away it went. And it was awesome. So all of us were able to load that map up and stay out of the neighbour's property, which is always the goal. He didn't stop at that, though. So he provided us a topo map with all the contours. He gave me a map of satellite imagery, so I could layer that over top as well. And then he gave me a couple of what you would call terrain analysis maps, which I thought were pretty cool. And what that meant was he was able to map out all the water sources on the property, and then he was able to, in different color schemes, say if you stand on any of these red spots, you'll be able to see 3 water points at any one time. If you stand on any of the blue spots, you'll be able to see 4 of the water points at any one time. And man, did I not share that with the other team. That was a great piece of gear to be able to use. But yeah, and it was that, and there was there was a bunch of other things he does, and I do him a disservice by not understanding them, or not understanding, but not remembering them all. But if you want to get custom maps, can't tell you how much they cost, because he's a good fellow and he gave them to me. But go to athenaspatial.com.au. It's ATHENA spatial, SPATIAL.com.au, Athena Spatial, and get hold of Rob. And if you've got a property that you frequent, or you're part of a club and you've got properties and you've got new members that might need to get hold of that map, what a service. What an awesome service. So thanks, Rob. Much appreciated. I'll be hitting you up again when we head to the Northern Territory. Hopefully you don't charge by the square meter, because there's a couple of million hectares up there that we're going to play in.
It'll just be very, very, very vague. It's like, here it is.
So that's a good one. I think that's a real asset. Yeah. So,
there it is.
They're my shoutouts. They're my shoutouts.
I've found them. Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. Very cool. I don't think so. But I have had some questions. So if we've got any more if you don't have any more shout-outs, let's move on to the questions.
The only thing I would say is daily we're getting messages. I've got one here from Wade Yaxley saying that he's been just chatting to me just generally about what's going on, and just messages that are coming in saying that they were waiting for our updates intently while we were hunting the other week, and people inquiring how we went. And we love it. It's great. It really pushes us along to keep going and creating content that people are interested in. So keep them coming. It's good fun.
And the good thing, I don't want to go too much in it because Jono's not here, but that ability with the Zolio just to kind of go, that's where the guys are. Jono left it on overnight, so he went the next morning there was 134 waypoints that were all very close together.
Yeah,
he must have left it on.
We're still mucking around with the settings. Yeah, there's a setting there that says if I haven't moved for 5 minutes, don't update all my friends. He just needs to flick that button on.
Well, there was one point where you said you'd got an animal, and we got the yellow one, which is the stationary one.
Yeah, that's because I was sitting and glassing, so it turns yellow.
That's right. Yeah, you can see that. But so that's also really handy because you can get understanding of what you're actually doing on the ground. So you've got the different coloured ones, which is really good.
We were figuring that out as we went. It's the first time that we'd connected all of our Zolios together so that we were able to track each other, which came in handy, as you might have seen, and we'll talk about that later on. We were figuring out what yellow meant. I had these yellow pins pop up, and I was looking and going, what's that? And we figured it out on the go. So, incredible tool. It's really bringing all the technology into the phone. And again, something else we want to cover a bit later on. But let's go to questions first, Mark.
So, as things start to heat up, got a question around snake gaiters. So someone said, reached out and said, 1, do you wear gaiters? And 2, do you wear snake gaiters? And I thought, that's an interesting question because I don't wear snake gaiters. And I generally don't even wear gaiters because I wear long pants and I wear what you might call boot protectors, which are a dry as a bone boot protector. So just literally goes over your laces. But I don't wear gaiters all that often. I do have gaiters, and I do have a favourite set of gaiters, which are they're Cedar Summit Quagmire, which they're a Gore-Tex gaiter. So they're pretty, phenomenal when it's wet. But I generally don't wear gaiters. So I don't know about you. Do you wear gaiters in summertime, especially with specifically thinking about the Joe Blakes and the long grass?
No, flat out, no. I don't even think about them. Snakes are far from my mind when I go hunting. I know they're there. I'm careful, I guess. I nearly stood on one on the trip last weekend, which I was surprised how active a red belly was in the cold that we were in. But it was there and it wiggled away from underneath my foot. But no, mate, I don't. I really don't bother with snake gaiters. I know people do. Some people are probably more concerned about snakes, and maybe I should be more concerned about snakes. But man, I've spent a lot of time in the bush, and yes, I've come across them. But I tend to find they want to get away as fast as possible. They're not really trying to attack me. And I think the time that the snake gaiter is going to be really good is if you accidentally stand on one halfway back where it's got enough turning power to strike at you. So yeah, it could be a problem, but I don't. I do wear a gaiter, but it's not a snake gaiter. It's a really cheap one from Hunters Element, and it's a neoprene gaiter, and I wear that.
Oh yeah.
It's only about that. And for those that are listening, how big is that? It's about 20 centimeters tall, the gaiter, and it stretches around the top of my boot, and it gives me maybe 15 centimeters or 10 centimeters of extra height above my boot that is now weather protected. So if I'm walking in wet weather, it stops any water going down the boot, and it stops any water getting in the boot when I cross the creek, because it's a neoprene. It seals like a wetsuit. So it seals the top of my boot against my leg, and I've found that by wearing those, I don't get anywhere near as much dew and moisture, running down your sock. So I use it for that. I don't use it for the protection against snakes. Certainly helps stopping, bindies and stuff getting stuck on a sock if you're wearing shorts. But I often wear long pants, but I still wear those underneath just to help water ingress or help stop it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what I tended to wear. When I used to wear gaiters more often, I tended to wear them when it was wet or in winter rather than in summer. So I was using them like if you were cutting through wet, long grass in winter, and you get saturated very quickly. That's when I tended to wear them actually as a weather protection, or more specifically water protection than anything else. And that's why I went for years ago. I went from the Quagmires, which is particular model in the Cedar Summit, because they're really designed for wet weather hiking. As in, you expect to get, they seal off your boot, they come all the way up to your knee or just below your knee. They're Gore-Tex, so they repel water. Some people don't like them from hunting because they're noisy. But
I was about to say that, noisy.
Yeah, the thing is, movement is noisy. So they're only noisy when you're moving.
But a soft outer versus a nylon outer against the grass, the foliage and things like that. I've hunted with people with Cedar Summit gaiters on as an outer gaiter, and they're so noisy. I don't think there's a problem with having them and then just slide your long pants down over the top. So you still get the same effect. You're not keeping your long pants dry around the shins, but you're not getting the water in your boot and you're not getting bindies on your socks, and that quietens down a lot. One of the guys I was hunting with, I just suggested he did that, and it made all the difference hunting with him. So yeah, if you're gonna buy gaiters, if you haven't bought gaiters and you're gonna buy gaiters, there are good quality hunting brand gaiters that you can get, and it's not because they're cam. Go and get them if they're green. It doesn't matter. But they've got a soft outer. They don't make as much noise.
Yeah, I do have a pair of Hunters Elements, though. I may have given them away. I don't know. I did have a pair of Hunters. I'm pretty sure I did have a pair of Hunters Elements. Actually, I bought them from Craig Golding. And they were, a dedicated hunting gaiter. But yeah, and the other thing is too, what hunting gaiters I have seen are actually quite stiff.
The snake
so
ones
yeah. So are they just as noisy because they're quite stiff?
No, they've still got that soft outer on it, and that's the problem with the snake gaiters that Hunters Element brought out to start with. If you've got a shorter leg, then because they were rigid, they would stick into the back of your knee, and they'd be quite uncomfortable. If you're a normal sized human being or taller, you'll have no problems. But if you're of the squatter stature, try them on first. Get someone else to lend them to you. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. So to the actually a couple of people reached out and spoke about asked questions about gaiters. In regards to specifically to Severn, those kind of state forests, where I have seen snakes. Though the most place I've seen the most snakes is in the Brisbane Valley. And there was a place the block I hunt regularly. There was a time in summer that I would see a snake at basically the same location every time I went there. There was a red belly that lived in the area, and it was always out. And it was a big snake too, but it was always there. But
yeah,
I myself have very I have encountered very few snakes over the course of I don't know, what am I, 40 years or 40 plus years of bashing around the bush. So for me, no. For Ian, no. But if that's what you want to go for it.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on the phone tech, and that's also been something that's stimulated a fair bit of conversation about the idea of moving as much tech as you can to your phone platform and the invariable issues that generates, i.e., charging and the delicacy or the lack of robustness in most phones. But I've found, and to be honest, I was one of the, I was someone who didn't want to do that because I tend to break phones pretty regularly. And though this one I got at the moment, I've just noticed there is a small crack in the screen now. Finally, it's taken me a while. It's taken me a while, but I'm there. So moving your tech to the phone, and what you were talking about before about using Athena and the stuff that they do through Avenza, which is a phone-based phone-based app mapping app. And what we're finding more and more through the power of the Zolio, it's making a lot more sense to move to a phone-based app. Phone-based technology, I don't know, platform, I suppose. So you're more of this is more of your wheelhouse. So what's your thoughts?
It's one of those things, if you're a gearhead, you're a gearhead, right? And you go through all of this stuff, and then you eventually try and rationalize it down. And over the years, you see quite a bit. I started with a dedicated Garmin GPS back before they got really fancy and incorporated a whole bunch of different things. So I had a GPS, and then I had a 5-watt radio, and then I had an EPIRB, or a PLB, whatever you want to call it, an ocean signal PLB. And I would probably be carrying my phone as well, just because I don't usually leave my phone behind. It came with me. So then Garmin Rhino came out, and you could sort of merge the radio in with the GPS. And Garmin, look, they've been the peak of the products for many, many, many years, and they probably still are in terms of their robustness and all of those sorts of things. But I've just found that the interface is clunky. You know, everyone knows how to use their phone, whether it's an Android phone or an iPhone. They're pretty intuitive in the way they work. You'll notice when you get a new phone, it never comes in an instruction manual, because even my 2-year-old through to a 5-year-old knows how to pick up an Apple and swipe right and make it work, right? So,
Yeah.
whereas you have an enormous instruction manual with a Garmin, if that's a gauge to go by, that tells you, you know, the difficulty levels of these things. But anyway, so the phone merged in, but taking my 5-watt radio and my older Garmin and putting them together, it combined it into one device, but they became very heavy. That Garmin Rhino is quite a heavy device. A lot of people got them. Great bit of gear. Really good if, you know, you got a bunch of mates that buy them, but then a bunch of you are buying very expensive product to be able to track each other.
Yeah, they're about $750 or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Which is cheaper than a modern smartphone.
It's not.
But most of us have got a modern smartphone already, so the Garmin is an extra device. And then eventually I moved away from all of that, and I still have a Garmin device, but it has a function, and that is to track the dog. So my dog, by law, has to have a GPS tracker on it. So I have a Garmin Alpha, which tracks the dog. And to be honest with you, that stays turned off in my pack, and the collar's turned on the dog. And if the dog, for whatever reason, decides it wants to nick off, which it doesn't do, but if it does, I can turn the radio on, it'll find the collar, and it'll tell me where to go find it, which is a great backstop. Most people don't need that bit. So then we go and have a look at the PLB, and you don't all have to have a PLB, but you know, a locator beacon's a pretty cheap device. A standalone Ocean Signal Rescue Me PLB, the little matchbox size, you know, single function device, lasts for 7 years. I've got one on the shelf back there somewhere. It's expired after me having carried it around for 7 years. You know, pull the antenna up, hit the button, hope that something happens, because it doesn't give you a lot of feedback to tell you whether it's working, and you'd hope that its 7-year battery life was actually still functional 7 years down the track, but you got really no idea, no feedback. And a lot of the PLBs are the same, but, you know, most of us don't get to use them, but that's a good thing. So now we're starting to see this fusion of products centered around the phone, and whether you like the idea or not, it's sort of where we're going. And we're all adopting it quite quickly. So we've got, you know, modern smartphone, doesn't have to be the current one, and it's all app driven. So we're getting our DPI maps, or now our Athena spatial maps, that replaces the Garmin GPS device. And it's incredibly intuitive. If you've not used one because you don't state forest hunt in New South Wales, it does everything the Garmin can do. You know, you load the map on, it shows you where you are. In fact, it's easier to look at because you've got a blue dot that just cruises around in front of you. You can turn on GPS tracking, you can turn on waypointing, you can turn on spot and go, sight and go. All of those sorts of features are part of it. And you can load up multiple maps to suit yourself. You can pay for the professional version and have a whole bunch of maps on it, or you can use the freebie version and have up to 3 maps at a time. So that works really well. Most of us are quite familiar with it. Being able to get private property is just going to change that a little bit more and make it even better. But then we've started to use this Zoleo device. Now, I've been using mine for 12 months. Mark, you've had yours a bit longer. Jono's had his for a while. So we're all fairly familiar with this new PLB, but it's introduced a whole bunch of new technology. So it's not just an SOS. I can tell my wife that I'm where I'm supposed to be and send her a location map automatically via satellite. I can text message via satellite and receive text messages via satellite. I can track maps like we were doing on the weekend. There's so much you can do with these things that you couldn't do on a normal PLB, but it has all of that enhanced feature set through the app on your smartphone. You can do the basics on the device and turn on track and trace on the map. You can send a message home and say, I'm okay, and you can get a rescue to come and get you. But paired to your phone, little stuff like if you are in trouble and you hit the SOS, then they can see how much battery life your phone's got and your Zoleo has got. So they know how much time they've got to respond to you. The first message they send you is, can you chat? As in, can you type? Can you text? Can you interact with me? If they don't get a response from you straight away, they just send in the choppers, right? They'll send in the rescue. If they can talk to you, they're going to start asking you questions about how you're feeling. You know, what's the problem? Have you just got a broken leg? Have you been bitten by a snake? Is it, you know, all the questions that an emergency responder might ask you through the app, they can talk to you and they can see that you've got 20% left battery on your phone, so they better hurry up. Every time you send a message, it gives them a GPS location, and they're really enhancing their ability to come and find you and support you when they arrive. The old style, they're just showing up to a duress. They got no idea whether you've fallen off a cliff, broken a nail. They got no idea. Ordering a pizza, whatever it might be. They don't know until they arrive what they're walking into. So this just gives the rescuer a whole bunch more information, which I think is fantastic. And then they enhanced it even more by saying, well, we'll give you medical assistance. So I've done something. I don't know what to do about it. How about I just ask? I can now jump on my phone app and I can send a message via this thing and just say, hey, I've brushed this plant. It looks like this. I've got a really bad rash. Is this a problem? And they can respond accordingly. So without going back through all of the Zolio features again, it's all on the phone. So this device is now at the center of our mapping. It's at the center of our rescue. It's at this, it gives us all the information that we need. And whether you like carrying the phone because you think, oh, well, if the phone goes flat, what am I doing? We've got to prepare for that. And that's where the little solar panel, packable solar panel things come into play, and the little battery packs come into play. So,
we got that one there.
What do you think? Yeah, they're the batteries. These things, these beam communication batteries. So I've been using this one from Goal Zero for a long, long time. And Mark's got the beam communication one. It's about 1/3 of the size of this, but it's got half the battery of this. So bang for buck, the beam one goes really well. I was using it on the weekend. I charged my iPhone 4 times over the 4 nights. I just plugged it in while I was asleep, and it charged me back up 4 times. No problem whatsoever, which I thought was pretty outstanding. But battery becomes a really important topic because these things all have batteries. They're all rechargeable, and it's a thing that if you're going away for a period of time that you need to start to manage. Whereas your old PLB lasts for 7 years, your Garmin devices had reasonable battery power in them until you got the Rhino and started using radio, which sucked the juice. But anyway, you were skeptical, Mark, to start with. Was it a battery issue or just a general change from the standard?
More the fact that, there's a number of things. First thing is, in terms of the journey of gear, it's the same journey. So, started with the GPS. Then when we started hunting state forests, they needed a GPS that had mapping. So I bought a more comprehensive GPS with mapping. Used to carry a 5-watt radio with me as well. Ended up with quite a good GPS, the Montana, which is, big screen, touch screen. It's big, it's heavy, but boy, it's a powerful thing. And then Tim and I started to, especially when we started to hunt with my son, and so I would be with my boy, and I, and in all fairness to say, Tim, mate, you just go, and so we were, for the first time, we were further separated than we'd had been before when we were hunting. So we went, you know what, we should probably figure out a way that we know where each other are. So we invested in the rhinos, which did away with the 5-watt radio, a separate 5-watt radio and separate GPS. So we had those things combined. I bought the rhino pouch for my chest rig, and so kept on going. But then, with the Zolio, and like yourself, I had that little yellow, I think it is a Rescue Me, the tiny little PBL, sits in a soft case. Bought it, went online, registered it with whatever authority it is, you did the registration and they get all your details. So I had all that gear. So that was like, there was a number of pieces of gear, and notwithstanding the PBL, all of it needed charging, including your phone, because you still had your phone with you anyway, because, you carrying your phone. So there was numbers. So, and I think it was at Nundle 2022 where I realised, because I've got a dual battery system in the truck, so I can run, and it's not that I'm running out of power, but literally we were running out of ports.
Mm.
We just had in the back of the car overnight, it was just this spaghetti of USB and various, configurations all charging and stuff like that. I went, this is just crazy, there's just too much stuff here. And, and someone said, my GPS is not working, so I can't map now and all that kind of stuff. So through a bit of arm twisting, I think, from Joe from DPI, I said, have a go at the Avenza. So I downloaded the Avenza, went the free one, did that, and was pretty impressed. It's worth mentioning with the Avenza is if you go the free version, you only have 3 maps, but that's only 3 active maps. So for instance, last time we hunted Nundle, we hunted over the changeover, so June into July. So I was able to download the 4 maps because for a few days I had Hanging Rock, and a few days I had Nundle, and then I had that pre June 30, then post July 1. So there was actually 4 maps. You were able to download it, you just couldn't activate it. So after June 30, I just erased the June 30 up to June 30 map. So I didn't have to worry about, they were there. I just waited to turn them on. So you don't necessarily have it.
You do get to save all of your waypoints and pins and bits and pieces as a layer and put them on your new map. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that for one of them. I did it for the other one. But yeah, so I was able to still operate with 4 maps. So, I was down to the Zolio and the phone. Now, I'm reviewing Zeiss thermal. Oh, look out.
Yeah, sorry about that, gents.
Like a bad penny. He's right.
Sorry about that, gents. I had some issues at work that I had to attend to.
Okay, cool. He's here. We can talk about
welcome to the chat. You'll catch up.
Okay. So I'm reviewing this sucker, and Zeiss have moved a lot of the features that are on board the thermals that I've used to date to a phone app.
Oh.
And if you go on the phone, you can do things like customize color palettes and all that stuff. I don't know, maybe you can make a polka dot. I don't know. But so again, they're incorporating that. And when we were at the Aim Point show that night down at Hillcrest Pistol Range, I think it was the Burris Veracity.
Yep.
The PH. That is an app-based scope, as in, lots of data and lots of things like that. So you're getting more and more stuff moving to, the smartphone platform. So it kind of makes sense when you've got your mapping, and especially if you're hunting state forest, because if you get the Hunt New South Wales, your paperwork's on there as well. So you got your paperwork, you got your mapping. With the Zolio, you've got your PLB, your communicator, tracking, and away you go. And if you're using the Zeiss, because you're allowed to use this thermal in the state forest, you can use the phone function. If you're shooting Burris Veracity. So I think, what the only thing that I've struggled with is the fact that phones aren't particularly robust. So I'm still working that way. I'm still working that way around. Yeah, mate,
not for my
good. As my lovely wife will tell you, I'm hard on equipment, mate. I am hard on equipment.
Yeah, I reckon I'm pretty hard on equipment. I've had this iPhone in one of these quad lock cases for 2 years.
Yeah, mate, you're just not trying. Honestly, you're just not trying.
It's fine. Anyway, you'd be rough.
I broke a quad lock. I broke a quad lock, mate. They had to send me another one. So I broke a quad lock.
You didn't break the case. You might have broken the mount.
I broke them out.
Jono, we're
and
talking
this
about
phone
how all of the
in a
technology
quad lock
that we carry hunting is now
has a
centric
tracker.
around the phone. Right.
Yeah.
So
isn't your whole life is centered around your phone now?
well, that's right. So
Well,
so what
is
piece of
that right?
technology
Is that why when I go on our shared Instagram account, it's full of bikinis, mate? Is that what it is? There we go. That explains it.
That'll be bag. One of our followers.
That'll be bag, will it?
It's someone blowing up the algorithm. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, Jono, what piece of technology have you used for a while that could be phone based or centric around the phone that you're still hanging on to, or have you moved everything to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't carry.
Connected?
I don't use. No, I don't carry a GPS or anything like that. I'm all phone based now. So, from a technology point of view, what's the only piece of technology that I'll carry as a rangefinder? Because you're not going to get that on your phone, but you can get that on your rifle now with that eliminator that you've got,
or your binos,
or your binos. Yeah, but otherwise, no. I could just carry my phone. I mean, it even takes great video. I mean, obviously I've got a camera, but it takes good pictures and videos, and you're connected.
And
awesome.
And in terms of managing the battery of all of that, do you find yourself coming unstuck with battery management now that there's so much going on?
No, I mean, I do manage it. I make sure I close all my apps. I generally put it on flight mode. If I know that I'm not going to have signal, because it's that hunting around for signal that really drains the battery. If I've got signal, then it's not too bad. If I know I'm getting low, even if I've got signal, I'll put it onto flight saver mode. But otherwise, I mean, generally we're not far from the camp, not far from the truck. If I'll usually have a spare battery and charging cable in the truck, and definitely back at camp. So I'm not really concerned about it. I don't think I've ever come unstuck with regards to power. I mean, the battery's pretty good on them these days. I just make sure I charge it up every night. You see me, I lug my 12-volt battery everywhere, and I've got my phone charged up and my heated blanket. So
yeah, he doesn't just carry a Beamcom battery pack. He carries a lithium. What's it? I can't remember because the weight that's in it.
A Sentry from Super Cheap.
That's exactly where it's from. It's exactly where it's from. No, look, because I use that to run the fridge in the car. Then I use it to charge my phone. I use it to charge cameras. I use it to charge, you name it. I think Ian, you chucked something of yours on there while we were away. And then on a cold night, I run my heated blanket. So I'm nice and cozy. I've got
good to have a blankie. Yeah,
got to have a blankie, mate.
We've enjoyed them. Well, that's good. I mean, that's pretty much all of us have converted to that style of gadgetry now. I'd love to hear from people as to what bits of gear they're still using that they can't quite get across. I don't have any anymore. It's all there.
So so my iPhone now fits perfectly into the Rhino pouch, and the Rhino pouch had two little retainer straps, so they can even retain the phone so it doesn't fall out. So it's there, which is great when checking for maps. And with the LRFs, Steiner LRFs, the rangefinder's gone because the other side had the little rangefinder pouch, and that's where the Zolio sits for me. So that comm system and mapping system and emergency system and tracking system and all the rest of it's right there at hand in the chessery.
You still carry a radio?
No.
I will carry one if I'm required to. So on the my Red Deer property, the one that I hunt on, we have to carry a handheld. I have that in the pack. I don't even have that on me. But
I carry
my safety.
A little tiny Orcom kids radio, I call it, tiny little one with no batteries in it, and I carry a little pack of batteries in the pack. I don't put them in the radio because I never use the radio. I don't want them to go in there and go flat, so I just leave them in the pack. If I ever need the radio, and the only thing in my mind that I figure I might need it for one day is, if you hit that rescue button and you've got people yelling out, it's nighttime, whatever, you can call them on a radio and sort of guide them in. I figured that's the only time that I would use it, but they would be in quite close by then, and a small radio would be good enough. Even with big radios and most of the places that we go, 5-watt radios and even car-mounted radios, things like that, as soon as you're out of line of sight, they're hopeless.
That's
so,
it.
Yeah.
I don't see the point anymore.
You know, I've got a CB in the truck, and it's got a 2+ meter aerial. I know it's 2+ meters because when it goes in the garage is at 210, it whacks roofs on out to the toilets. Yeah, in Pilliga, if I can't see you, it doesn't work.
Well,
like,
we
Doesn't work.
yeah,
that's all it is.
we had that on the last
It's great if you're driving down the highway, you know, and you know, where are you guys at and stuff like that. You know, that's when it's really good. Or when I do it, when we go on long, you know, when me and the family do the road trips and we go way out west, out, you know, right out towards the Channel Country, I'll put the radio, but I'll put it on the basically on the truckies channel, and you know, you'll hear, you know, we're moving farm equipment, something like that, so you know what's in front of you, or you know where they are, and if you're going to overtake one, you can talk to them and things like that. It's great for that, but in a hunting situation, it's just once we drove to the highest peak in the Pilliga, which is not particularly high. Went to the highest peak and then went out, and I was trying to contact people, and you know, it's just like, you know, I could see the dust of their vehicle in the distance, but I couldn't speak to them, so it's just useless. So,
right, yeah.
Oh,
well, I mean,
you'll hear, you know, occasionally you'll hear some farmer on. Yeah, you'll hear a farm or something that comes through, but you know, you pick up things, but from a I suppose reliable communication source, it didn't prove particularly reliable. And with the Zolio, you can say, well, I might not be able to, I can text you, so I can't talk, but I can text, and if we're synced in, I know where you are anyway.
Yeah, well, we had this scenario where Jono said, I've shot a buck, and we were on our way down towards him. We had his GPS pin location. We could see where he was on the map, and we were on our way down to help him up. We ran into some deer, but we were able to keep in contact. You know, there was one time where he said, we've seen some bucks. Jono said, we've seen some bucks. They're running up towards you. So without us even knowing they were coming, we knew they were coming. So, you know, just little things like that has been helpful. Certainly if you've got a smart watch these days that pairs to your phone, you get the Zolio message. It's now on your watch. You don't have to pull anything out of your pocket. You just glance at it. You know what's going on. You know, technology's, it's helpful. It's helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Mostly. Hey, John, it tells us where each other is. So we'll talk about that another time. Maybe next time. All right. So that was that one. What was next on the list, Mark?
Well, I haven't had a chance to shoot the Lupo yet, and you guys have had a chance to shoot the Lupo, so I want to know how that went.
Ooh, I do like the Lupo.
I'll be the first to admit, on the first morning I didn't carry the Lupo, and that was because it was very wet and it was raining, and I don't want to get that beautiful wooden stock ruined. I know it can probably handle it. It's got a nice lacquer finish on it, and it's probably waterproof, but that rifle's too beautiful to go in the mud, to go in the rain. So I carry the Tikka. But yeah, look, I love that rifle. It's beautiful. I got it shooting really, really well now with 150 grain. I found it struggled a little bit with the 180s to grip, and that's probably just the particular ammo, but that new Socko 150 grain is shooting beautifully, and I'm very happy with that.
Ditto. I struggle with the 170s. I didn't mind the 180s, but I've settled on the 150s. Come back from the 180s a little bit. Shooting the Socko rounds exactly the same, but I've got the Eliminator 5 on mine, and well, for starters, mine's the synthetic, so I didn't care if it was raining. I took it because it can handle it. It's a hunting rifle, and hunting rifles don't deserve to be left at camp. Jono,
no,
it was just the way it goes. Pick it up, take it hunting. But the Eliminator, I was going to say, after my hunt, when we did our slam weekend, I don't think I mentioned this too much. I did say that I was shooting in low light, and I was struggling to pick up the animals in the low light. And I was a bit disappointed, actually. I thought that the Eliminator was going to have better low light conditions. You know, they've improved the glass. I don't know. I thought it was going to be better. Anyway, turns out that it was probably a bunch of conditions that made it pretty poor that day. Yes, it was getting dark, but I also had the sun setting down behind the hill behind where I was trying to shoot, and that gave me a whole bunch of shadows and things that were no good. And I potentially blamed the scope a little bit for not being able to see what I needed to see. This hunt that I've just come back from, I took it again, and I actually took my BRX with the Steiner, the Predator 8 on it, because I was going to intentionally took it to shoot that one in the afternoon sessions because I didn't want to be dealing with poor light in that scope again. I took 2 rifles, but I didn't use the BRX. I took the Eliminator out again because we were out for quite a lot of the day, and I was expecting a reasonable long shot opportunity. But anyway, got into the last bit of light, and I was quite surprised to see that it was brilliant in low light. It was really, really good. So it was obviously just a combination of conditions the first time that gave me a poor light gathering, experience. And this time it was excellent. It was really, really good. Right down to last light. I had a fella that was hunting with me, and I'm pretty confident to say that the scope outperformed his, and his wasn't a bad scope either. So big tick. I'm more confident now with it in all conditions than I was after the last trip, which is great.
So, how rifle performance itself? I mean, they look very nice.
It's
those rifles.
Smooth. It's
Very smooth.
nice to carry. The 4-stock is just a beautiful shape. It's a pleasure to carry all day. It's no problem whatsoever. I don't use a sling, so I'm literally carrying it all day if it's not on my pack. Recoil absorption is really good. Like, it's got a lot of options. It's got a really good pad on the back of it. Super soft. I don't notice it at all as far as recoil in the 3006. It's adjustable. There's lots of adjustability in it to customize it to your own body. I just find it's just a beautifully made rifle.
It's very well thought out.
Shot anything like it before.
Wow. Certainly looks good.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
But the trouble is the bolt's on the wrong side for me, so I'm kind of I just look at them from afar. Well, I can shoot a right-handed rifle, but why should I? It's like a guy doesn't take a hunting rifle out because it's raining. I mean, come on.
Oh, I took a rifle out. I didn't take this rifle out because it's too pretty.
It's like that.
It is a pretty.
I got a Porsche, but I don't like to drive it because I might get it dirty.
Yeah. They put this amazing finish on it. They call it Best Coating, which is their version, I guess, of Cerakote, but it's done a completely different way, and it's all top lab secret stuff. No one knows how it's done. No, you can't get it done aftermarket on any other rifle. Apparently, we've asked. So they put this amazing coating on, but we're worried about the timber, I guess. but that's
what I'm worried about is the timber.
I don't know if you notice it. The action slide is so smooth, almost to the point that when you pick the round up, the feedback is so minimal. It's silky.
Actually, quickly, Mark. I was going to say, while we're talking Cerakoting, I just want to say that my 9.3 is currently being sprayed and fixed up by Byron at Beretta. It's been sent. It's been received. We had a call last week and chose colours, and it is being worked on as we speak. So I'm not going Minecraft like you did.
And I think it's important, I think, also to mention that it's not a
Beretta rifle. No, Beretta brand. No, so it's
a brand of rifles. It's a, what's it? It's a Sauer, isn't it?
Sauer, correct. So
yeah.
interesting enough, the color that I chose, Byron had just finished a Winchester and he had it on display and he took photos of that to show me this is what it could look like. And I was like, that's exactly the color I want. So it just shows that it doesn't have to be a Beretta related product. So you just send it to the workshop. I just took it to my gun shop and said, please send it to Beretta, and off it went. So I can't wait to get that back. It should be ready. He said it'd take about a week or two. So yeah, hopefully in the next couple of weeks I should have it back. It's going to look beautiful.
Lovely. Getting ready for Territory 2024.
Oh, we were there this time last year.
That's it. 2024.
Yeah, it seems like ages and ages ago.
Basically, we were leaving just.
No, we're already there.
Next day or two, weren't we?
No, we're already there.
We were there. Were we hunting on the 1st?
Yeah.
No,
I thought it was towards the end of September. Oh, okay. Didn't think it was that early. Thought it was just before September. Oh well. So you guys are running the 150 grain, which is, I reckon, is, what you should run out of a 3006. In Australia, I've always loved 150 grains, and you're doing the Seiko, the various. Is it the Super Hammerhead?
Yeah, Seiko.
Yep.
Super Hammerhead, 150 grains. Yep, my Lupo absolutely loves it. I think it took me 3 or 4 shots, perfectly zero, dead on. I had a couple shots at the 175 gong. I think it was 225 gong, 300 gong. All hits. Put the rifle away.
That was too much fun with the Eliminator. Too much fun. It was like we were lucky enough to have a range that gave us gongs at, what'd you say, 175, 200, 250, 300, 350, and then there was one out at a kilometre that we left alone. But once the Eliminator on the Lupo was sighted in at 100 metres, it was just a matter of going button, doing dong, doing dong. And you just line it up, push a button, and away to go. And it was just bang on. Really good. Lots of confidence in that setup. I'm looking forward to finding. It's sensational. It really is.
So I'm going a little bit different. I've got the Norma for the 3006. So for my beautiful but older Tikka T3. So it's actually not a T3X, it's a T3. I got it in 2008, that rifle. I ordered it in 2008. It took nearly a year to come. And it's been highly modified since then. It's like my favourite axe. It's had 3 handles and 4 heads. But it's had a lot done to it. But I've always run 150 grain Sarco or Federals out of it. But I've decided for that I'm going to keep my 308 running on Sarco, and I'm going to run Norma out of the 3006. So that's my next project to see. And they're heavier. I'm going to go heavier. So I'm going to make a heavier rifle, as in. So if we go down to, Samba country, that's the rifle I'll take with me. I want to start splitting up my rifles. I've got the BRX as my 100 meter, the 100 meter gun with the aim point on it, which,
it's 308, isn't it?
That's it, 308. Which once upon a time, that was, what you call a scrub gun. That was an old 30-30 with open sights. My scrub gun now is a straight pull BRX with an aim point and a custom BRX. Certainly the scrub gun's gone up in quality over the years. My other 308 Indy, that'll be my general carry around rifle, and I'll set the 3006 up with the Norma for the heavier game. I think they're 180s, which I've never really. I've got the Predator 4 on that already, so that's got the Predator 4. Which is a illuminated reticle, but it's a cross. So the illuminated reticle is a little cross, which is actually really, really. It's.
That's what the Predator 8 has.
Yeah, I think
cross.
all illuminated reticles should be a cross. They're so much better than a dot, except for things like aim point, which is obviously working differently. But for for a scope reticle, a cross is just so much more. I find that with the dot, often you're looking at the dot, not looking at what you're aiming at. But with that cross reticle, you just overlay it, and it just seems your brain seems to just accept it's there. But that's a Predator 4, which is a fantastic scope, which actually has been superseded by the Predator 8. And the other 308 runs the Ranger 4, which was another one of the Steiner ranges, a range of Steiner scopes. So they're both very nicely appointed, but I've decided that's what I'm going to do over the next little while. And I'm starting to think more and more about pistoles next too.
Are you now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kind of starting to think about pistols.
Yeah, I started and then just ran out of time to try and do all the stuff.
I'm just thinking about what that might look like. I know. Scott from Predator says you want to, you know who to talk to. I know which one I want. On that shiny one that we shot.
Cage, though, or you got to take your wife.
That's it. We want that shiny one we shot down there at Hillcrest. I want that one. So it's about how to make that happen. That's the next big thing for me, I think. Pistols, maybe.
That's good. Well, we're turning our hand to fishing, aren't we?
Yes.
We're moving from the hunt. We're heading to Fraser. We've got a Fraser trip planned in about 3 weeks' time. 3 weeks' time? Yeah, about 3 weeks' time. There'll be
just under 4.
Yeah, so we'll be doing a bit of drone fishing, doing a bit of slide boating, trying our hand at a few different things. We were lucky enough on our recent hunt weekend, Project Venison, Operation Venison, it was, that my buddy Adam is a mad bloody fisherman. So he's if you see him on Instagram, what's his Instagram handle?
AB Long.
AB Long. AB Long on Insta. He has caught his weight and more in GTs, and there was a post up on Fraser a couple of weeks ago where he's helped some fellas catch a massive tiger shark.
Oh wow!
He's got a fair few pictures with the Mackies as well. So we've got all the tips and tricks from Mr. AB Long, and it's going to be a cracking trip. So we got 4 or 5 families coming up. We'll be beach camping north of Orchard Beach, and we'll be dragging up a few camper trails, dragging up a tinny. Take all the toys this time. It's going to be a hell of a good time. So yeah, that should be fun. That'll be our off season.
Yeah, and the Taylor are running.
Yeah, well, should be
a bit late, but they're there.
My mind's turning that way too. So Darcy has. So I was supposed to go out last week, but the last week, but the weather turned ordinary. But we're a bit of snapper fishing in the Northern Bay, and again fishing with the boys. So we're slowly moving into the fishing time of year. Still got a few hunts I want to try and get away on, but yeah. Getting that way myself. So, and once we get right into
in the true Hunters Campfire spirit, we've turned Fraser Island into a fishing slam. Jono and his mate on one team, and Hendo from the Slam version 1 is back on Team Hurls, and it'll be biggest Taylor, biggest pelagic, and most species caught over the week.
Oh, okay.
Will win once again a prize of immeasurable value.
Immeasurable.
We'll figure out what that is.
Yeah, that's it. Cool. Very cool.
Looking forward to that one.
Should be good. We'll stay away from the dingo. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a good trip. It'll be a lot of fun.
And the goannas now. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't see. I haven't been on the Facebook.
This weekend's incident on Fraser Island was someone got bitten on the hand by a goanna. So if their hand was that close to a goanna, you must know they must have been trying to feed.
That's right. What were they? They were feeding it or patting it.
I stood on a brown snake last year.
Did you? I don't remember that.
Yeah. Or was it the year before? Might have been.
I don't remember it last year.
my wife and son were up, and we had a bit of a day going for a walk around some of the sites. And we were just walking up to one of the lookouts on a track, and John was walking behind me, and he said, "Look out, snake!" And I didn't know where he was looking, as normally happens. And later on, he said, "Yeah, you stood on it." Just because I was in the sand, it just must not have been threatened because it got depressed into the sand instead of being in pain. So
Could have been interesting.
I know it's somebody got what they got mock bite, where they bump you.
Yep.
Yeah. So they don't sink the teeth in you, but they hit you, bang. It's basically the equivalent to a mock charge, So it's a get away type thing, because sinking the fangs in you, it's committed to you. So if it thinks that you might be able to kill it while it's killing you, they take a second thought about that. So yeah, but he reckons he was walking and he bang, this thing hit him, and he looked down and he saw the snake moving away, and he went and he checked his leg, and there was no marks, no holes or anything like that, but yeah, it hit him. So
amazing.
Scary stuff.
Cool.
So
what else is on the list?
Do we want to talk about the hunt, or are we gonna pass? I reckon we do another one about the hunt.
You think we pass tonight? We'll save the sledging for our next one.
I think that's right. Look, Jono's late, so I'm wanting to watch at least an hour of sledging. So I think it would be more appropriate if you guys started fresh. Maybe have a sleep, get yourself a script ready to go.
Warm up a little bit.
Warm up. A bit of preparation, rather than what are those impromptu type of things. Yeah, they're good, but I think you guys need to practice.
We'll talk about. Did you talk about sledging? Did you talk about sledging, Mark? Did you hear what happened to the All Blacks on the weekend?
Yeah, but Jono, let me explain something to you. It's rugby union. Who cares? There's only 3 other people in the world that play. I mean, it's not like it's like an important game like league. It's union. God, who cares? Really?
Righty hell. What a hiding. Anyway, we won't go into that. No one cares. You're right. I certainly don't.
No one cares.
If it was the other way around, you'd be caring, that's for sure.
No, mate.
Well, if you are interested, you see Elton Yankees has been banned.
Oh, has he? I didn't see that. He's a
substance user.
Who's been banned?
Performance enhancing products. I wonder if he's the first of many.
Judging by the size of some of them boys, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, look, remember, when you play in South Africa, all you got to remember is take your own food.
Yeah.
throw some slabs of meat around.
Well, no, remember what happened to the All Blacks last time they played in South Africa?
That's because they lost. The
night before the finals, they all got bad belly.
Yeah, there was a few last times ago, but it won't be forgotten.
No.
That's it. So just take your own food. Don't do what Shane Warne used to do. Just pack Vegemite sandwiches.
Yeah, excellent. All right, have we got anything else? Or are we going to wrap for tonight?
Let me check my list. No.
All done.
So let's wrap up.
Us, Jono. It's been great.
Sorry, I was late, gents.
Good on you, mate. Yeah, it's good on you. Good on you.
All right, enjoy the ramble. If the listeners have got anything they want us to cover, send us a message. Keep them coming. It's good to hear from you, and we'll make sure that we add it to the list of things that we babble on about next time.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, gents. Good on.
Good stuff. Have a good evening.
See ya.